Hello everybody, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Tarot Memoirs. This week we are talking about one of my very favorite cards, the Hermit. Yay! Okay, I'm so excited about this one. This is a card that I've always had a really easy time reading, even when I first started reading tarot, so it's got a special place in my heart. It always just really hit me really easily, probably because I'm naturally an introvert. So yeah, I didn't really have much trouble with this one. So if you are new to this series, I will link the playlist at the end of this video, so you can watch all of the videos in this series if you would like. But what I do in this series is there's 3 parts. The first part, I share some excerpts from my favorite tarot books that I've highlighted, things that stood out to me as meaningful for these cards, or for the card of the week rather, which this week is the Hermit. The second part, I share a bunch of comparing images from some of my tarot decks, so you can see different examples of what the Hermit card might look like. And finally, I share some stories from my personal life where I talk about either stories or examples of how this energy shows up for me day to day. So that is what we're going to do. We are going to hop right into it. I'm going to grab my first tarot book. We're having a moment here. Just bear with me. My technical note-keeping app is freezing, and it's where I keep my notes, and I need it. So I need it to come up. Excuse me. Oh, that was probably a face. Sorry. Not going to edit it out, though, because I don't do a whole lot of that. At least not yet. So, in the Hermit, I like to start with Rachel Pollack's 78 Degrees of Wisdom. And I'm sure there's like a bunch of stuff in here that I have marked, but let's just jump right into it. So, first of all, I'll hold up the card here because sometimes they reference things that you see in the image. So she says, primarily, this card means withdrawal from the outer world for the purpose of activating the unconscious mind. There's an aspect or an energy here. I've got to move my device because it's putting glare. There's an aspect or energy to this card that is really about spiritual journey or about evolution and doing work on yourself. So I really like that she talks about that, diving into the unconscious mind. The Hermit, excuse me guys, I have a frog in my throat. The Hermit also signifies a teacher that will show us how to begin this process and will help us find our way. So I found this throughout all 3 books, or at least I believe I did. There's really 2 sides to the Hermit. One is he can represent a guide or a teacher, and that could be a spiritual or physical guide or teacher. And it can also recommend that inner journey of withdrawal to work on yourself. So I like that it talks about both in at least a couple of the books. Another passage here, as an emblem of personal development rather than a guide, the Hermit signifies the idea that only by withdrawing from the outer world can we awaken the inner self. And this is true of any kind of inner work, whether it's meditation or magic or circle work or anything that you're doing that lets you step outside your mundane day-to-day and really look at the deeper layers of your existence. The Hermit signifies a transition. Through the techniques of meditation or psychic discipline or analysis, we allow the hidden parts of the psyche to begin to speak to us, which I really, really enjoyed that passage as well. The symbol of the lantern returns us to the Hermit as guide and teacher. He holds the light out to us, indicating his willingness to lead us and our ability to find the way, if we will only use the strength we have to follow. And obviously that is a nod to the Strength card from from last week's Tarot Memoirs. Strength card is number 8 and the Hermit is number 9 in the tarot. So if we're looking at the major arcana as a journey for self-development, then once we have conquered that sort of strength to allow our emotions and our true selves to come forward, but in a harnessed and a mature way, then we are ready to go on that next stage, which is this journey of inner transformation and discovery. The divinatory meaning for the Hermit derives from both its aspects. On the one hand, it symbolizes a withdrawal from outer concerns. The person may physically remove himself, but this is not really necessary. What matters is the inner transfer of attention from getting and spending, as Wordsworth called our worldly activities, to a person's inner needs. It therefore requires an emotional withdrawal from other people and from activities once thought to be all important. The card carries within it a sense of deliberate purpose, of withdrawing to work on self-development. So there's a little bit of pulling into yourself and away from others and their influence. The card can also signify assistance from a definite guide, sometimes as indicated above, a psychic guide from within, but more often a real person who will help you in your self-discoveries. When we look at the shadow side of this card, so when we reverse the card, we corrupt the idea of withdrawal. Makes sense, right? The Hermit reversed can indicate a fear of other people. The Hermit reversed can sometimes simply mean that at this moment, the person needs to become involved with other people. The Hermit reversed can sometimes indicate a Peter Pan attitude to life. The person hangs on to basically meaningless activities or else imitates childlike enthusiasm, like the imitation of spontaneity, as a way of avoiding the responsibilities of doing something with his or her life. So this is really interesting and speaks to escapism and the ways that we might drown out the world so that we don't have to confront anything challenging or difficult. So I can definitely see how that's showing up here with this card. So that was Rachel Pollack's 78 Degrees of Wisdom. And just note that there are like 6 pages, I think. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 pages on the Hermit in her book. I've only highlighted just a few things, and that is what I read to you. So it's she really has a lot of meat in this book, which is why it's usually the first one I start with, because it gives us sort of the foundation that we can then layer on top of. So really, really love that. Excuse me. I should probably have a sip of water. That would be smart. Grab my little pony cup. It's fantastic, right? I love it. I always have this with me by the bed because I am accident prone and spill things. And at night when I'm sleepy and I need water, why not grab the thing that won't spill? Smart, right? Okay. Next we have Benebell Wen's Holistic Tarot. So the pieces that I have highlighted here, let's see. I should hold the card back up. This book's heavier though, so we'll see how I do. Wisdom is offered. In practical application, the theme of the card is guidance and mentorship. The Hermit is also about introspection. Key 9 can indicate an introvert or someone who is embracing solitude. The Seeker is turning attention and focus inward. Compare. 4 of Cups, which indicates the need, start, or attempt to turn attention inward, but external distractions are preventing the Seeker from doing so. Here, the Hermit is filled with wisdom and indicates a meditative, philosophical turn of attention inward. Where a Seeker is turning inward in the 4 of Cups out of past disappointment, the Seeker is turning inward in the Hermit in order to seek enlightenment or spiritual ascension. Another comparison. Key 5, the Hierophant, is about orthodox wisdom. Key 9 is the unorthodox, solitary path to wisdom, which is really interesting. So this is you finding your own way, carving out your own path. This is less about following an established path. My voice wants to leave. Why does my voice want to leave? It's only like the second video I've tried to film today. So in Shadow, the Seeker was given wise counsel but is not heeding it. Ooh, like that one. The current situation is affected or caused by failure to heed that wise counsel. The Hermit in reverse could suggest foolishness or the need for more spiritual development before the Seeker will gain the wisdom necessary to prevail. The Hermit appearing in reverse could indicate to the Seeker that greater introspection and wisdom is needed before a decision should be made or action taken. So I really enjoyed that as well. Benebell is really great in her book about getting right to the heart of the practical way to look at the card. So it gets a little bit less esoteric, at least in this book, a little bit less esoteric in that section where she's talking about the cards, and a little bit more about how to actually look at this card in application to life, which I really appreciate. And then, finally, we have Kitchen Table Tarot by Melissa Sinova. This book has been getting quite beat up a little bit by using it for this series, and I've pulled this book out frequently because it's great for a quick, snappy look at a card. So here we have, oops, I'm on the wrong page. The Hermit, and her action phrase is, I am thinking. And what I've highlighted, let's see. The light that he's holding, this is a really cool point. And it'll show up actually better in some of the other images that I will show you. But the light that he is holding doesn't shine very far out. It's just for him. He's not looking away into the future. He's looking right in front of him. He's got his staff to lean on in case he gets weary, because he's not going to stop until he finds the answers he needs. And that is the only passage I highlighted here. Not because there wasn't a lot of great stuff, but because that was the thing that was the most different from what I'd already seen in the other books. And I really liked this representation of the staff and this idea that the Hermit is going to persevere. He's going to finish his quest. He's going to do what he needs to do to learn what he needs to learn, or share what needs to be shared. And he's got the stick, so he's got some support, some internal support. And I could also see that that staff could represent the strength that we have attained from the Strength card in that stage of our journey. So I really thought that was powerful and good. So here's our reminder again of the Hermit. We can see there's a very sparse background. It looks as though he's standing in snow. And I like the idea of winter being represented in this card because to me, a lot of that introspective work happens in the dark half of the year. So I really like that. So let's get into some other card images. I have a little handful here to show you. So the first is my Osho Zen Tarot. And aloneness is the key word on this card. And this, you can really see that idea that the light doesn't shine very far out. It's just for him. Here we've got a seeker. He's still got that staff to support himself, and he is off on his journey, and he is just shining the light just ahead of him and exploring things just a bit at a time. I like the use of the word aloneness, and in the Osho Zen, this really speaks to the difference between being lonely and being alone. Being alone is a powerful way to learn and grow. Being lonely is more that not avoidance, that's the wrong word, that urge or that craving for personal contact. Aloneness is when you really dive into learning about yourself. So I really like that. I adore this Hermit card, which Kelly Vera affectionately calls Hermie. Hermie, little Hermie, the Hermit. There's something so nurturing and loving about this. This is like totally the introvert mascot right here. He is cuddly. He's got his like blanket cloak. I mean, it's a cloak, but it looks like a blanket, right? All bundled up around him. And he's got his comfy boots and his feet aren't going to get cold. And he's like roly-poly and cozy. This is totally, I love this image of the Hermit. This is like my me Hermit. So great. I don't know if I found one that more accurately represents the way that I associate myself with the Hermit than this one. But we'll see. I've got more cards to go. I love the Hermit from the Marielle Tarot. We've got this figure. There is, it's almost like he's made of water, which obviously speaks to the subconscious. We've got his sort of hooded face up here, and out of that face is coming something. Like it's like a swirl. And I guess what I think of when I look at this card is that is the knowledge and sort of hidden truth that we uncover when we go into Hermit space. And then there's his lantern there. I don't see a staff, but he actually seems supported by the waves, which tells me that he is supported by the unconscious and by the emotions. So I really enjoy that image a lot. I have not read the excerpt from the Tarot of the Hidden Realm guidebook, which I think will change my perspective on this a bit. What is missing is the light. I don't see an aspect of light, but I do see an aspect of wisdom. Like she definitely puts off, I say she, it might be a male, but I see a female here. Definitely puts off an aspect of wisdom. And there's something in the top right corner of that card. What is that? Top left. I can't tell what that is. I think it's almost like the clouds have a deeper, darker part of them. Oh, you know what? She's in front of a tree, and that is like a dark knot in the tree. I see now. Yeah. Really, really beautiful. I think that with this tarot deck especially, I feel like the guidebook offers so much. I should have read that before I showed it, but anyway. Love this crone energy of the Hermit from the Textured Tarot. This is everything. She's still got the lamp. She's still got the stick. She's bundled against the cold. She's got experience. There's an owl on a branch in the background, just up here in, that corner there. You can see an owl. I like the beams of light coming out of her lantern, the fact that it's very dark, but she's clearly finding her way. Love, 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 love. I love the meditative energy of this Hermit from the Anna K Tarot. He's got his lamp beside him. He's taking a rest, which I think is important. A lot of times we see the Hermit looking like he's in movement or journey, and this one's still in journey, but you can tell he's taken some time to sit and contemplate and consider where he's at right now. Really like that. This is another really delightful Hermit. This is a modern image from the Everyday Enchantments Tarot. This is perfect. Just in comfy clothes, pets nearby, curled up with a book. Like, it's fantastic. Love it. Also really enjoy the spiritual imagery here in this Hermit from the Sun and Moon Tarot. You get this idea that this person has gone on a bit of a spiritual journey, has gone to maybe a sacred site, and is exploring and learning. So I like that. This one is pretty classic image here of the Hermit, I think, but with the scythe, which is really interesting. There's a preparation for transformation you can see there. This is from the Mythic Tarot, the original, the out-of-print version. Not the biggest fan ever of the Impressionist Tarot in general, and this card is really no exception, but the Impressionist look to the art gives it a softer quality. This almost looks like he's going to a village, which is not my favorite. And I'm not getting enough of that sort of wise energy from this card. So, I'm meh about it, but it's okay. It does the job. I enjoy this, although I really realized looking at this card, this is from The Legacy of the Divine by Ciro Marchetti. I really like my hermits to be old. I think I figured that out. I really like my hermits to be old when they are people, and this guy is not old. I'm like, you don't know, man. Like, you know some stuff, but you're not there yet. So I don't know. This is not my favorite either, but the artwork itself is stunning. It's just not my very favorite. I do absolutely adore when we see the hermit as a turtle, because it's perfect. Like, your whole house is on your back. There's still the flame. There's this idea of pulling inside the shell. I like it. I do like it. This is probably the card that sold me on the Wild Unknown Tarot, which this is, by the way, if you don't recognize it. But to be honest, most of the deck, I'm kind of like, so-so. But some of my favorite cards are done really well in this deck, so I think it really pushed me over the edge, and this was one of them. Really, really enjoy the Hermit from Shadowscapes Tarot. I really, really enjoy that. I wish the cards were bigger, and I wish my camera would learn how to focus. Let's bring it in front of my face. There we go. I think it's focused. Hard to tell in my preview, but really, really beautiful. I enjoy the Hermit in this, sorry, this is the Bonefire. I enjoy all of the imagery here. Like, you've got the lantern, you've got this eye down here in the corner. There's a lot to look at. There's an owl. There's a lot to look at here, but I don't like that the Hermit looks super sad and, like, distressed. Which, to be honest, is also the case in the Deviant Moon Tarot. The Hermit looks really distressed. But I do have a slightly different take on that now, because the reality is that when we're doing that inner work, it's not always easy. When we're separating ourselves so that we can really look at our own stuff, it's not always comfortable either. So I guess seeing some of that discomfort is not, like, the worst thing ever. And then I finally have the Druid Craft, which I've not yet trimmed, but it is on my to-do list. And I really enjoy this. I love the wolf companion here, as well as the moonlight and his lamp and staff. And he's got that really lovely aged wizardy look about him. Love it. Love it. So those are the images I have to share with you for the Hermit this week. And now let's get into some anecdotal stuff. So, I'll grab my notes. So with the Hermit, what I like to do when I'm talking about the memoir portion of this series is to share some ways that this energy shows up for me sort of day to day in a positive way, in a shadowy way, and then I try to come up with at least one good, like, sort of memory or experience that I feel really encompasses the Hermit energy for me. So for every day, it's really easy. I'm an introvert, so the Hermit shows up for me all the time. It's the side of me that really just needs that solitary time to be with just myself, to process, to think through things. I'm not good at thinking on the fly. Sometimes just even being asked for an opinion on the fly can make me feel a little bit anxious. Like, I need time. I'm a slower thinker and a slower processor. I can really flow and talk, obviously, very quickly when I know what I'm thinking and what I want to express. But when I'm still considering or digesting information, I'm like, don't talk to me. Like, leave me alone. Let me think about it. So that's how that shows up for me day to day. Definitely very introverted, which obviously the Hermit is like our classic introvert card, right? From a shadow perspective, sometimes this tips over a little bit into more unhealthy patterns of just generally being avoidant of people and, like, disappointed by people and stressed out by people and just, like, not wanting to take the chance on people, because people sometimes are too people-y, and sometimes I don't want that people-iness. But from a shadow perspective, it can be really easy to sort of get into a habit of automatically becoming a bit reclusive and avoidant, so that I can avoid any interpersonal issues. But at the same time, that's tricky, because then how do you learn to be better at interpersonal stuff if you're just avoiding people because they're too people-y? Also, I'm a person, so maybe I need to get more comfortable with people-iness. Maybe. But still text me, don't call me. Just saying. That's not entirely true. Sometimes I really enjoy a phone call. But most of the time I like texting. So the biggest memory I could think of, so probably my most powerful experience that really encompasses to me this image of the Hermit going on this personal quest, was when I first decided to explore witchcraft. And I had been reading, I believe, Scott Cunningham's book, Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner. And I was 18, 19 at the time, and my family was going on a vacation to the ocean. We had a little cabin right on the beach. And I remember planning ahead and planning a personal dedication ceremony to happen on the beach. And this actually memory is more top of mind because I was talking to my sister about it recently. But basically, my family went to this trip. I had brought some supplies with me. This was all in secret because I was totally in the broom closet at that point in my life. And because that also brand new. So, like, who do you want to tell that you're a witch when you're brand new? At least me. No, that was not going to happen. So we went to the beach. I had all of my, like, little supplies. And at night, once everybody was asleep, I snuck out of our little cabin. And under moonlight, because it was also a full moon. I remember planning this because there was going to be a full moon while we were away. And I was like, this is perfect. So under the full moon, I walked out to the beach and I had a personal ritual. I drew the circle in the sand. I called in the quarters. I communed with the ocean. I did some powerful dedication stuff. I bled. Like, it was so powerful. And I know that probably sounds like kind of intense, but I was at an intense phase in my life where I needed to do something that symbolic. But that for me very much felt like my first real spiritual quest in a way. Even just the trek from the cabin to the waterfront, the idea that I was fully in that spiritual mindset as I walked down and fully experiencing something that was just for me, that was even really a secret at that point, something that I knew was right for me at that time. And it was so powerful and beautiful, and I'm so grateful that I had that opportunity to do that when I was so young and feel what that felt like. And the ocean is always the place where I really connect most deeply with my most innermost self. And yeah, that was probably my most powerful memory. So I do invite you to participate in the series in whatever way you're comfortable with. I know I say it every video, but whether you share a memory in the Supportive Tarot Facebook group, whether you share something down below, and if that's too personal and you want to keep it to yourself, that's cool. But I would invite you to explore some journaling, either journaling about how this energy shows up in your life, or I'm going to share a couple of journal prompts as I do every week. These are prompts from the book Journaling the Tarot, A Little Book of Big Questions by Andy Matzner. You can find it on Amazon in print version. I have the Kindle version, and I've selected just a few questions. He actually has like almost 2 full pages or a page and a half or so of questions for every single card of the entire deck. And it's really powerful to be able to just pick a couple journal prompts and like write about them. So the ones I picked for today, for this week. First, as a child, who was your favorite teacher and why? How comfortable, this is the second question, how comfortable are you being alone? Third question, if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go? And the fourth question, how do you recharge your batteries? When was the last time you did so? And what gets in the way? How might you address those obstacles? And that is it for Tarot Memoirs this week. I will link the full playlist here at the end of this video so that you can take a look at the other videos if you'd like. We are now up to the Hermit, which is card 9 in the Major Arcana. We have 11 more to go? 10? No, 12 more to go. In the Major Arcana. I am going to be continuing this series through the minors, but when we get into the minors, I'm going to be looking at the aces together, the 2s together, the 3s together, etc., and looking at them that way. Otherwise, this video series will take more than a year to complete, and I know myself, and that's a bad plan. It's a bad plan. So we're going to group them in a little bit when we get to the minors so that it will be a little bit easier to complete this whole series. But I really invite you to share the journey with me in whatever way that you're comfortable, because it has completely transformed the way that I view and interact with these cards, really has deepened my understanding of them, and both looking into different perspectives in a few different tarot books and personally applying it to my life in little ways and big ways has been transformative. So I highly encourage you to experiment with this same activity in whatever way you're comfortable. And until next time, y'all, have a great day. Bye.